Welcome back. Well, yeah, I hope we've gotten this right now. We're just trying to quickly adjust the setting of, the setup for Chief Dele Momodu, who joins us next as a former presidential candidate and publisher of Ovation Magazine. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us today on the program.
Good morning, and how are you today?
Yeah, we're well. We're doing well. Well, can you say it could be better? But there's always room for improvement, as they say every time of the gate. But yeah, so following up with where we left off in the last segment and having seen how things played out in the country, well, yes, you had still concerned and speaking up about this matter. So what is your latest thinking now, having seen how where we are with all the conversations, the communication, the panels that have been set up, steps being taken to move forward? Can you hear me?
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Yes,
please.
I'm hearing you now. Yes,
go
I
ahead,
can hear you now. Yeah. I picked a bit. Yes, I picked a bit of your question. Well, you didn't need a prophet or an oracle to know that Nigeria was sitting on a keg of gunpowder. As far back as July 18, 2020, I had written an article titled, "Is the President Aware This House is Falling?" So I wasn't surprised when, this trouble erupted. But after what we saw in the last 2 weeks or so, I am now convinced that government would have to do more. We may think we've been able to drive the protesters aground, but the level of venom, of violence, of looting that we saw should suggest to us that Nigeria is in big trouble and it will never be business as usual again. That is my opinion. I know that those in government, they don't see what regular people see. I always say the ways of powerful people are not the ways of normal human beings. There is something in power that makes it look like, hey, don't worry, we are helping you, we are doing everything within our power, but it is obvious that we are not doing enough.
Because we did ask Mr. Additional as well, those images in different parts of the country of people raiding warehouses, unfortunately people's houses as well. But he says, look, it's not everyone that is there that, can be described as being hungry. Some of them, he says, are opportunists, taking advantage of the protest, the situation to perpetrate what we see on the screen, and that cannot be relied upon if they are to make certain judgments. So how do you relate with that comment in light of what you had spoken about previously in your article earlier this year?
I disagree, unfortunately, with my very dear friend and brother, Mr. Femi Adesina. As I said, those who are in government, they don't see what we see. When Femi was an editor and managing director at the Sun newspapers, I'm sure he would have seen differently. So he's excused. Where they are ensconced within the confines of Aso Rock Villa, where one of his predecessors, Dr. Ruben Abati, had actually written an article about demons, invading the seat of power. So I believe so. I mean, if rodents can invade the president's office, so you can imagine the kind of demons that lurk around the presidency. So, but last night I had the same conversation with someone in government who told me, oh, some of the looters, they look fat. And I said, looking fat is not an indication of being well fed. It could be a medical condition, it could be anything. So for government to say some of them are not poor, you see, poverty is very relative. You can have 1 million naira as a businessman. I know you can have 1 million naira in your account and you are still poor because at that moment you need 5 million naira. People are desperate. The Nigerian government has driven everybody to desperation. Even the issue of corruption that we talk about begins from needs before it graduates to greed. An average Nigerian cannot survive on his normal income. So when you are asked to pay your rent 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in advance, are you going to collect your salaries in advance? So the system is not just about what government is doing or not doing. It's just that the system, the way it is currently configured, cannot make life comfortable for an average Nigerian, no matter how much you earn. So the looters that I saw, why didn't I go out to go and loot? It's because I am able to make ends meet. It is desperation that will drive people to, you can see some people there, it's like they looted in arrears, they looted in advance. You see people, so it became the survivor of the fittest. How much you can carry, how many cartons you can pull. People went into the home of a senator to go and take his motorbikes, which he said he was going to give to his supporters at Christmas, and they went all out inside the place, a gated estate. I am telling you that the level of desperation, my fear now is that now that these people have tasted blood, it is going to get worse. And my prayer is that government will do something, because this has now gone beyond protesters versus government. It is now a matter of the rich versus the poor. I started some palliatives a few months ago. People were asking, what are you doing? Do you want to contest election? I said, no. We must offer hope to Nigerians. Any government that cannot offer hope to its people, there is no way it will not run into this kind of crisis. We must offer hope to our people. They lack hope. They look helpless. They feel helpless. They feel hopeless. That is why these things are happening. You see mothers running. You see stampede. Anybody who is not worried about this, who is not alarmed about this, well, good luck to all of us, because these people don't know the difference. They don't know the difference. They are angry. And when a man is angry, any man who looks successful is a target.
You know, part of what we also saw in our reportage covering all of those as they streamed in to the newsroom is that even in the reports that were eventually aired, the perspectives that some of them had and still have, you know, some of them said, look, that they don't know that they were going there, in their own words, to possess their possession. And some of that said, why will government keep our property in there, asking God to forgive them? So the mindset, I don't know what the authorities will do with such information they glean from there, but are you satisfied with the kind of response you've seen, wherever you've seen it, in different parts of government, how they are responding to the needs of the people?
Well, I must commend our security forces for not escalating the situation. They did very well in not shooting and killing more Nigerians, defenseless Nigerians. You know, in the past, they would have rained bullets. I think maybe what happened in Lagos taught us some lessons that, look, it is not every time you have to respond with iron fist. You don't kill flies with sledgehammers and sledgehammers. That's what happens in our country all the time. That anytime government wants to react, any little thing, even a fly, a mosquito flying past, you want to kill it with a sledgehammer. These are Nigerians. They are our citizens. They are people you call upon. They are people you beg profusely to vote for you when you need power. And it is strange that a government led by President Momodu Buhari, a man who the poor saw as their savior, as their messiah, is the one now that looks standoffish, that looks like, hey, I don't even have to talk to you. He gave a speech, a presidential broadcast, and there was no reference to what happened in Lagos except referring to what happened in in the palace of the King of Lagos. That for me was unfortunate. I wrote about it last Saturday. The president must talk. There are countries where if you lose 10 dogs, not human beings, it will be headline news. But in Nigeria, people die daily. Nobody talks about them. This lack of empathy is what worries me, particularly about this government. The lack of empathy. A leader is the father of the nation. I asked last week, where are the first ladies? These are mothers. Let us say men are more brutal. I expect our women to be more sympathetic. I expect them to advise their husbands who are in power today. Power is transferred. One day, whether we like it or not, we shall quit and we shall all go back home. And I see no reason why we cannot show enough empathy, concern for the well-being of our people. That's why you told us that the previous governments were bad and that you are the best solution for Nigeria. So there is no excuse whatsoever for you to now say it's because of the rot of the last 21 years. No. You came. It's like going for an interview at Channels TV. I want to be the general manager of Channels TV. Then you got there, you started giving excuses why you cannot go on air at a particular time. No, they'll fire you. Unfortunately, democracy does not allow us to fire easily because you have to wait every 4 years. No matter how useless the government is, you must wait 4 years. That's what democracy is about. That's what we signed for. And so we will continue to pray that something would happen. I have advised this government consistently, and I'm saying it now again on this huge platform, that the president should do everything within his power to unite Nigeria and Nigerians. It is very important. Any longer, if we don't have roads, if we don't have lights, just bring Nigerians together. I think part of the problem is the existing tension. There is so much tension everywhere. There is division everywhere. Some people feel like third-class citizens in their own country, and this is very unfortunate.
Okay. Well, perhaps that's why a number of people are talking now about what to do to use your words, sack this government and establish a new order, so to speak. Now, a number of people have also said that there have been tremendous benefits from what this end protests has produced. Some believe that it provided an opportunity that needs to be galvanized in the next phase of Nigeria. What do you see going forward? Because a number of people are already, permutating that maybe the youth should organize themselves into a political party or something and then get in there and make all the impact that they can. What do you think?
I've advised the youth who are my friends. I am very close. I feel youthful at 60 myself. And remember, I was once a presidential candidate. If I learned nothing, I learned that all this talk about a third force, a fourth force, they should not dissipate their energy on it. I know they are not going to agree with me, but I pray they will reconsider. It was the same conversation I had with Mr. Donald Duke before he went in for the last election. I told him, don't waste your energy and resources. If you look at the United States of America, Donald Trump, with all his wealth, he didn't say he was going to set up a structure. America allows independent candidacy. He had to hijack the Republican Party. Chief Moshood Abiola did not waste his time saying he was going to go and look. Well, at that time, he didn't even have a choice anyway. He had to penetrate the SDP to the youth. The youth will have to go and negotiate. The youth will have to go and proliferate. They will have to make sure they have sufficient capacity to take on the mafioso, because Nigeria is a mafia country.
So they have to stoop to conquer. All right, we'll go to break, but we'll come back and just ask you just one more thing before we wrap up. And that will be in a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. It's our concluding moments now. But let me ask you, what do you think about the chances of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala in the light of this recent perspective of the U.S. saying, well, they may have to veto at the General Assembly?
It's very unfortunate. I don't know why the U.S. is always opposing a Nigerian candidacy. You remember the objection to the second term bid of Dr. Akinwumi Adesina not too long ago at the African Development Bank. But I believe that reason will prevail. I believe that all the other countries will stand up to the bullying from America because the other countries are not under America. I don't know what they have against Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. It's unfortunate. I know that President Donald Trump has a lot of fanatical fans in Nigeria who cannot vote for him, but they see him as the best leader in the world. I disagree with them. That's my personal opinion. So I am hoping that what happened in the case of Dr. Adesina would also happen in the case of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She is one of the brightest in the world, not because she's a Nigerian, not because she's an African. She's someone I've admired from afar. If Africa were to be a normal continent, such people will be doing extremely well. There is no reason why she will not be a presidential material in Africa. But unfortunately, that is the situation. I pray that she continues to serve humanity. I pray that America will reconsider its stance on this, because it would be unfortunate if America unilaterally kills our ambition after the whole world has already approved. I'm looking forward to congratulating her as soon as possible.
Okay, well, that's a good note. That's a good place to leave it. So I guess we'll just keep watching and see how things turn out. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us this morning. Chief Dele Momodu, former presidential candidate and publisher of Ovation magazine.
Well, yeah, there's other things. There's just one last one. Your messages on the program today. Dare writes in, Mr. Adesina said, the protest created the looting. Then my question is, what created the protest? If Nigeria is being run well, there won't be a protest in the first place. Government should first look at themselves before pointing fingers.
Well, Kingsley says the government shouldn't attempt to cover up that barbaric crime. It was a dark day, and the only thing that can illuminate and pacify the anger is through justice for all victims. Amnesty International won't come up with such conclusions without investigation.
From ONU, Adesina should know that apart from him and his colleagues in the villa, even middle-class Nigerians are hungry. Everyone in the video, including the security agents, is sadly hungry. He needs to get down from his high horse.
Well, we've got, what's this? Mathis Travel? Okay, well, at least he's that's his handle. He says, well, Mr. Adesina has spoken as a true Nigerian, but my question is, if policemen are quick to arrest the looters, why is it difficult for the government to arrest those who are responsible for the Lekki shooting?
And this one from Cardinal says, Femi Adesina had me when he said, you're setting a trap there. Still, the question must be answered. Who ordered Lekki massacre? How can the president not be aware when he has a helicopter view?
Well, Tayo says, I remember registering for my national ID when I was fresh out of university in 2005. I'm 41 years old now, and I'm still waiting for my national ID. He says, oh, absolutely disgraceful.
That's from the paper's review. But just to borrow from Adesina's narrative, this is Kemal Sule, says, I begged to also state that if SARS had not over time brutalized the citizens, the NSAS protests would have not taken place. It is wrong for the SA to try blaming the happenings on the protests. Please.
Okay, so there you go. That's the show today as well. We hope that you keep those comments coming through. Thank you for watching as well. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Please stay safe.
Happy holiday, in case you forget. Forgot the holiday? Come on, why?